Hello, everybody. We are on the new episode of This Ain't the Show. Just like usual, we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. Start with you at the top, Marcus.
Hey, Marcus Hemingway, DC person and most hated in most places.
Down there below.
Hey, so this is Joy McQueen from Connecticut. I don't hate Marcus. Not hated here.
Well, speaking of hate, this is actually not to you guys. This is to all the viewers who are watching. You know that sometimes when you walk by something, you smell something real funky, like real stank like, and someone dropped a deuce or farted, but you can't find anything, right? And then everyone has that, right? And I'm sure we've all woken up with certain aches and pains, like, oh, my lower back is hurting or my knees hurting, and he's like, oh, what's that all about? Nobody knows, right? Well, fortunately, we've all figured it out thanks to what we're going through right now, because often when you get politically raped, it smells like a bowl of bullshit. And that is exactly where we are at right now. I mean, I think I'm understating things right now. What's going on essentially is one of the biggest heists that we've ever witnessed on live time. It's similar to the picture in the back. If you viewers can see, there is a man biting a horse's tongue, and the horse is like, "What the hell are you doing?" He's looking at. He's like, "That's that. We're the horse. We are the horse." And if somebody walked by and saw that, you'd be like, "What in the hell is going on there?" That's how bad it is, and the onlookers. That's everybody around the world right now. We got people from Brazil, Africa, you name it, who've been watching this election, and everyone's got their hands up, you know, whether it be, Amadeus or what the hell is going on, translation. So again, Marcus, for everybody who's watching, I give him kudos because he gave me a pep talk today. I'm sure, as we all need, to go ahead and come on and be a big boy and just keep doing what you're doing. So I appreciate that. Anybody can jump in at any point. I know I'm kind of just going on right now as far as thoughts and concerns.
Well, I'm gonna use this analogy right now, and I've been saying this for the last couple of hours. It's like two football teams playing. You have my team, the New York. I mean, I'm sorry, the New York. I'm sorry, I can't get it out. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Giants. And say if the Eagles go to the Giants to play, but during the game you find out that all the referees on during the game are Giants coaches.
No big deal. No big deal.
No problem. They're calling all kind of offsides, penalties, flags, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's how.
And they may have actually played for the Eagles, for all you know.
Exactly. They may have been an Eagle at once in their career, but nevertheless, they're calling the rules right now. And we have our red flag, and we want to throw it on the field and say, nope, you can't throw your red flag, put it in your butt. But wait a minute, that's the rule. If I don't agree with what you're doing, I have a flag here to throw to stop the game.
No, not now. Not now. Not today.
Yeah, not today. Not these 4 years. Not these 4 years. We can't throw that flag.
Yep. So basically, the rules that we've been playing by for the past, I don't know how long we've been playing football. A long time. Okay, so they don't apply now. Not really. Not well. Why not? And that's all you're hearing. And within that same game, they call a timeout. The refs do. They call a timeout and say, whatever. You're on the first and fifth line, goal line. You got 3 downs to go. You guys are probably going to score, and that's okay. But we're just going to go ahead and call you guys off the field for a referee's timeout. But the other team, they can stay on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Leave the ball too while you're at it. That's, I mean, yeah. This is bananas. And, regardless of being a, sports fan or not, anybody can make any type of off the wall, as my dad says, John Davis type of BS analogy you want to. It doesn't make sense. And, I will say I was talking to my mom, I'm sure as many of us have these past few days. And my mom would be what you would consider a very religious woman and a tough chick, one of the toughest women I've ever met in my life, bar none. And she just said, well, this is definitely not good. But obviously, God is doing his thing. He's in control. It doesn't make sense to us. And not to sound like a loser or have a victim, a victimology. She's very opposed to that. And this, just to give you a little bit of color into the picture, as far as the story. My mom's Italian, so she's like, well, I don't know, it's not as bad, It's just, she's got her way of talking. But the good part about it is, if he does get office, I'm not even going to say his name, then I would say that we're 10 times closer for Jesus. Probably the best news I've heard all week. But man, oh man, I would sure like to go ahead and not, I'm just speechless. She makes a good point. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joey.
So, I mean, I think that's a perfect segue into, you guys did the football analogy. Now I can, delve into the spiritual, right? And, this week, I think, has been a major test of faith. Mark is not. I'm not sure, but I know Savi is a Christian. Like, are you, Marcus? Are you a believer? Or not to put you out there.
No. I'm a Baptist to the most part. I don't go to church. I don't believe in the club on Sundays. But I do believe in the teachings of the Lord. My mother made sure that we understood the power of Jesus and why he died for us. So I am a God-fearing man. I just don't
okay. So I mean, so with that said, I think all believers can honestly say, like, this week has been a test of faith, a huge test of faith, and it kind of, it sounds really crazy, but it reminds me of how before Jesus died, he warned his disciples that, hey, I'm gonna die, and when I die, don't be surprised. I'm gonna lay down my life. Don't be surprised. And I'm gonna, in 3 days time, I will be risen from the dead. And during that period between when he was crucified and when he arose, it was hard. It was a test of faith. And I feel like that's kind of sort of where we're at right now, where we're in that period of time where it looks like our country is on a path to judgment. It's on a path to condemnation. It's on a path to death. And, we just have to hang tight. We have to, be strong and believe for a miracle. I think about Jonah being in the belly of the whale for 4 days. I think about Jesus being, dead in the tomb for 3 days. I think about, Lazarus being dead for 4 days. And that's just where we're at right now. We're in this point in time where things look horrendous. And, the only thing that can get us through this is truly the power of God. And I think I've found so much encouragement in the story of Lazarus, because God purposefully waited until he was dead for already 4 days. It wasn't like it was like they let God know, they let Jesus know after the fact, and after the fact he came. No, he purposely, he found out before Lazarus was dead that Lazarus was sick, and then he purposefully waited until Lazarus was dead for 4 days before he intervened. So I think that is what I personally believe, that is what God is doing right now in America, that we are in this period of time where we are just waiting, and he's calling on all believers, true believers, blood washed, born again believers, to take up their spiritual armor, put a gear up, pray, don't be afraid, don't be disparaged, don't be discouraged, and let's not give up. And God forbid, should the results not be favorable to the kingdom of heaven, we know that ultimately righteousness will win. We know that ultimately every single person on the face of the earth will stand before God, whether they stand in judgment or they stand in judgment for their sin or in judgment for their deeds. And so, that's just my encouragement to people, is to know that in the end, righteousness will win.
And so with that, I do appreciate that, as many do, just hearing that, because we're definitely in a deficit for some good news. I want to go ahead and point out, in terms of how crazy this is in such an unprecedented event that we've seen.
Well,
a couple things.
President Trump did warn us, right? Like he warned us that this was going to happen. He's been talking about it so I even heard that, like they have recording of him back in, like, I think, was it like 2018, talking about, it's not who you vote for, it's who counts it's who counts the votes.
That's an old Stalin quote. That's an old Stalin quote. And I don't think anybody who's in the know is surprised by this. It's like, it's more so, damn, you can cheat like that? Yeah. Holy cow, you're not even trying anymore. You used to at least kind of try. Yeah. Now it's like, no, we're totally not going to try anymore. It's like, for real? Yeah, no. For what are you going to do about it? And and that's what it's like, wow, I didn't know that you could do that. That's how a lot of people are feeling right now. And so the thing I want to put, so we got, as far as the unprecedented aspects I was talking about, we have the highest amount of Black folks who have voted Republican in probably 70 years, maybe. You have all the police departments who have endorsed 45. You had, at all these Trump rallies, you had way more than you would ever see at a Biden rally. And at Biden rallies, you would see almost a lot of these more Trump fans that were making fun of him. Mm-hmm. Arizona has been red for 60 years. Somehow it's questionable. Same with Georgia. Georgia, they had a 92-mile Trump train during the rally. Okay, so and somehow it's questionable. It's just, holy cow. So, and then with the whole thing, how, and the analogy we were making earlier about how, you're going to go ahead and stop the clock, but let the other team play. That's exactly what happened in a couple of states, namely Georgia, how you're getting ready to win the game. Stop. What happened? We're just going to stop it. And I'm getting ready to win. You're going to stop it? Absolutely. And so they did. That's unconstitutional. You can't do. That's why the first lawsuit came out, I believe. And so it's so crazy. And so with all of this going on, I'm sure you guys, unfortunately, have talked to those who have said the crazy thing. And I'm not including MSM, because they're going to do their thing, right? What are you talking about? There's no evidence of fraud. There's no evidence of that. And so for that, all those in who you are, you in the back, and your mama, you all know, you all get the James Evans Award.
So, we know already about the whole issue in Michigan, right? Where they have that system. The name of the system, oh my gosh, it's escaping me, but over 6,000 votes that were meant for Trump were given to Biden, and this is in one county. And then they discovered that the same software was used in 47 other counties. Now, come to find out that software, that same machine has also been. Where did oh.
Keep going.
So nonetheless, right, we had those 6,000 votes, and so we know that Michigan's obviously, like, there's going to be a huge lawsuit with that. I don't know if you guys heard just before we came on, Supreme Court Justice Alito orders separation of Pennsylvania mail-in ballots that arrived after the election day. So we know that Georgia's going to be recounted. We know that Pennsylvania is definitely at this point. There's got to be intervention, right? And then with Michigan, there's also going to be intervention as well. So it's just we just have to wait, have to be patient.
Let me say this right here, and I guess I'm trying to uplift spirits, because with all these things that automatically kick in, sometimes we have the Supreme Court that's already working its way through to the courts of the federal court system. So we know because he's trying to get on actually a case of another situation. They had to file motions by 5 o'clock today to see if they're going to allow the Trump campaign to get on a certain situation in Pennsylvania. They may or may not, and I can't recall it right now, but there's a situation. But what's so important, and I kept telling my coworkers at work today, is that you're jumping for joy knowing that it's going to be a recount, and if the recount still don't give 50% of the votes to one candidate or the other, it's going to be an automatic runoff. Everybody forgot about that third party candidate. They got 61,000 votes, and she was a libertarian. Now, we all know libertarians lean to the conservative side more so than the Democratic side. And if they have a runoff, my gut feeling is telling me Trump is going to win Georgia handily. And then there's going to be all kind of riots in the streets that say because we stole the election, and nobody's going to look at the dealings that they was doing. Like I said, it's so obvious that, as we all say, Stevie Wonder could see what they were doing. And it's like,
dude,
you're not letting people into the polling place. You're wearing paraphernalia that you don't supposed to wear while you're counting the ballots. You're seeing people fix ballots. They got video. It's so much. It's frustrating to a sense to see.
You only have 3 counties in Georgia that are slightly, that are traditionally liberal. Three. That's in it. I don't know what it is. I mean, there's all these things to where it's like, and what you were just saying, we're not going to let you in. What do you mean you're not going to let me in? I mean, it's all these. I'll tell you what. A big part of this, as far as programming, is going to good old face mask COVID-19 programming. Is that a lot of states have exemptions from you wearing it, but these people who are in their stores and running businesses, they don't know about the exemptions. They say, this policy, can't do it. Like, your policy is null and void. And it's like, well, this is our policy. And it's like, you don't understand how the rules work. So that was a first part of this. And that goes back to, I think, last week, in terms of what is the most powerful thing to do as far as reform. It's education. Nobody understands or knows the basic Bill of Rights. This is so hot to lunch. It blows my mind. And in the 2 biggest things is, one, what can you do as opposed to what you should do. And the second part of this is, why should anybody adhere to the law after this? You just showed us that you're going to break the law. So you don't get to tell me, Congressman, whoever, Senator, whoever, that I have to leave a civil building or whether it be a municipality once it's closed, because you have already, on a national level, you have demonstrated that the rules don't apply. And so we're effectively living in this is what they did during the medieval ages, as far as having royalty and having serfs. And guess who the serfs are? Not us, or who the royalty is, excuse me. And so what actually can we do? And Joy, you said something in regards to giving a good pep talk in terms of who's in control, and that is the thing to remember. And so I to kind of bounce back to that, when somebody asked me not too long ago, what do you think is going to happen if 45 doesn't win? and I'm not going to say his name, comes in. I'm like, nothing good. And I gave an interview. So what do you mean by that? And I'm like, you can do your own research, but I'll tell you, I give you a good start. Uh, Kamala made it very clear that she is going to go after, persecute any and all Trump supporters. That's what she said, not me. And so that has been the concern for me. They have been going after, I won't just say it, when I say they, I mean leftists. This is what it's all about. This is what we can define leftists more. But they have been going after Christians for the longest time.
Yeah.
And I think go ahead. Go ahead, Joy.
No, I was agreeing with you. It's actually interesting you say that because AOC tweeted earlier today. It is some stupid tweet, as all of her tweets are. About I hope that they're keeping record of all the people who are supporting the president, and she perceives in the future that a lot of tweets will be deleted because people are going to be like afraid, and it's ironic because again from a spiritual standpoint, the people who need to really be worried about their accounts are the people on the left, because like I said, at the end of the day, we all stand before God, and they're going to have to account for their evil actions. I'm not worried about that. The left, they talk this talk, but they know that it's not going to happen. I'm not worried about them coming after us. Right now, all I'm focused on is just being, patient, waiting it out. And, I think part of the problem is that on the right, we don't have enough warriors.
I agree. Thank you. Wartime conservatives. Thank you.
We
Thank
have
you.
really spineless rhino
Yep.
type, like cowardly people that consider themselves to be conservatives, and we need lions. Okay, we don't
Yep.
need elephants right now. We need lions. So I'm not worried about anyone coming after anyone. The left already knows that the right is starting to rise up, and we're not having it.
Well, let me
DT
say,
Jr. said it best. I'm sorry. Let me get started real quick. Donald Trump Jr. said it best yesterday, in that the cowards have excused themselves from the Republican Party. If there's any left, I'm paraphrasing, you need to go ahead and excuse yourself. So there is a difference between your conservatives who want to go ahead and look good in a photo shoot, as opposed to what's called your wartime conservatives. And that's always, as I would say, a being consistent in conservative ideology, not so much focusing on the other guy. Good point, Joy. However, with that being said, you first look at yourself, and then you look at your team, and you say, all right, so this is all we have control over. And so your Josh Hollies out there, those are the type of, from Missouri, those are the type of congressmen that are in high demand right now. Could be you, could be Marcus, could be me. But that's the era that we're in right now. And I will say this: as much as it says in the word to turn the other cheek, it also says to defend the weak. And so, ultimately, we have work to do. We have work to do, and we're told how to do the work. There are certain things that God he never excuses. He never excuses. But while you're here, it is work. And what you said, Joy, I try to pass that on to other believers, as far as, well, we just gotta wait for God to come. I'm like, no. I'm like, he didn't call for cowards. I'm like, we have work to do. I'm like, and so sometimes you have to stand, sometimes you have to go ahead and dig or walk. So it's how we actually fight is different, right? Than being on the streets and get the man and burn the building down, and nothing gets. So that's where we're at right now. I'm sorry, Marcus, go ahead.
And Joe, I got to say, when you look at your Warriors, it's not even about the Rhinos. It's not even about these politicians that should be in the forefront, standing for this president who's been having their back through thick and thin, helped a lot of these people get reelected or elected in the first place. It's not even them. It's us. When I say us, Black Americans.
Yep.
Latinos. We the one who put so much to be disfranchised from our own group of people, yelled at, shunned at. We put it all on the line. We put everything on the line, and we'll be damned. Excuse my language. Be damned if we allow this to walk easy.
Yeah.
If we can fight, we'll physically go out there and fight. I mean, nobody wants to go to fisticuffs, but I mean, it gets to the point that we feel like we ain't got nothing else to lose. We don't lost half the population that we supposed to at least love us to some degree because we are the same color they are, but they don't even want us no more. Then you go to a group of other race, they don't want us because we didn't rock with them on the election. So we're stuck in like this limbo area, and it's like I gotta fight for something, not for my beliefs of being a conservative and a God-fearing person. And you're not gonna tell me what I can and can't do with my life and how I treat myself or I treat my family. If I believe this man, these set of policies are going to do right for me, I'm gonna rock with that. And just listen to other black conservatives who are hurt right now online. They want to fight. They want to physically get up and just tell us where to meet, and we'll be there ready to go because we need something. Because a lot of people have lost family members, they lost loved ones, they lost marriages because of their personal political beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's bigger than Trump being reelected.
Yeah.
It's bigger than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and this is something that I feel like I've always known, but I've very recently been able to articulate this, that this election is not about, it's not just about President Trump. It is not, it's so much greater than that. There is a movement, and it's literally about good and evil. And it's funny because Joe Biden kept saying, oh, this is about, the battle for America's soul, the battle for America's soul. You know what? The ironic he says that, but he's representing America selling its soul to Satan.
The other side, exactly.
And it's so important. You're so right, Marcus. You're so right, Sabi. Like about at the end of the day, this is about good versus evil, and we have got to stand. Like, I know exactly what you mean. Like I've like felt this like rising in me that just wants to go out, and do whatever it needs. Like, the other side will go out in the streets and raise hell. I want to go and let them know, no, we're going to stand our ground. And yeah, I totally agree with you, Marcus. Like, there's like I can't tell you how many times in the past week I've just wanted to drive to DC and just like start shouting and and praying and knowing.
How many millions of people are thinking that exact same thing that you're talking about right now? And on one side, and I won't forget this, because this is what the gentleman who told me in the debate a couple weeks ago from BLM said. He said, by any means necessary. I'm like, whoa, brother, that's kind of, that's kind of crazy. That's up there with what Stalin said, where you have people, you have problems type of statement. In this predicament, it's not by any means necessary. It's what is necessary.
Yeah.
What is necessary. And so, there is a difference between, chaos and organized action or movement of some kind, and what that looks like, you don't know until you get there. It's just what's necessary to solve this problem, and not create another one that you have to manage. There's something that that really hit me this past few days, and it's going back to what you're saying, Mark, as far as how many minorities, Black folks, Latinos, have lost friends and family over this, especially. And I've been to these rallies, in Beverly Hills, and then, the camaraderie is second to none. I've met so many cool people there from all over, and where you lose some, you gain others, and the actual bond that you have is so much stronger. It's so much, because it's about things that actually matter. And it's like, just because we look alike doesn't mean we think alike or we do alike. And it's one of the most idiotic things, if I can quote the dude from Billy Madison, that I've ever heard in my entire life. And may God have mercy on your soul, blah blah blah. But it's stupid. I mean, how many times have you heard Joey, well, she's the woman, so we need to vote her? And it's like, just because she's a woman, like, how about a woman with good ideas? It's like, that doesn't make any sense. And it's just like, are you that easy to go ahead and persuade? you were talking about earlier, Marcus, how unfortunately a lot of black folks don't vote because they got to work, and it's just like, and the thing that frustrates me the most, aside from a crappy idea or excuse, is we just threw away, or we just, some of us signed up for a losing leader. Yeah. We were killing it more than we were ever killing it as far as success goes. And so the whole discussion, or the whole argument about, oh, well, when Trump gets in, we're gonna have war with everybody, and so he's already proven all that wrong. He's proven all that, and we've there's a ton of people out there who don't even like him, but like, yeah, I'll take that money though, and this, that, and the other. So it's just like, but now it just shows the depravity of, let Barabbas go, we want Jesus. And I'm not saying that 45 is Jesus. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, it's an example to where there's such darkness within the core of us. We're the only animal that I know of that will willingly go to their death when they have an escape route. Lemmings are programmed in a way to go there because it's a migrating thing, but they don't see the options. We've seen the options. We've experienced it. Go ahead, Mark. I'm talking too much.
It reminds me what you said. Have you seen that Geico commercial of those people trying to run from a scary situation?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, why can't we just get in a running car? Are you stupid? Let's go into the house.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at some communities in America. It's like, prosperity is right there, but you are so hell-bent on personality traits and how somebody tweets. You'll let prosperity.
But I'm angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely believe that with regards to particularly Black Americans that consider themselves to be, again, Christians, and they're like, first and foremost, when you're a believer, you are a believer. You're not Black, you're not white, you're not Asian, you're not Hispanic, you're a believer first. You're a Christian first. That's your identity. And so there's so many people out there, I have family members included that, felt so offended by the president's tweets, and they would sacrifice their prosperity.
Yep.
They would sacrifice their prosperity. I have family members who have, more like in-laws, but like who have member in the military, and if God forbid, if President Trump is not reelected, there's a good possibility that we could go back to war. He's the first president, right, in decades that hasn't
war.
Right. So I know people who have loved ones that are in the armed services, and they voted for a person that could potentially send their loved one overseas. And
hold that thought. And you know what? Because I don't want to forget. And here's the crazy part about that, Joy, is you would think it would be across the board that the military voted for Trump. Not even. It's like half. It's like, you do realize that we will be going to war with Russia or whoever else, right? But it's like just all hands and shoulders, like, but I'm sorry. Go ahead. Thanks for reminding me.
I mean, but my whole point is that, like you were saying, people will deny themselves prosperity. People will put their loved ones in danger because they're offended and by someone's words, and it's just, it blows my mind that our society has become so I don't even know, I can't even think of the word.
I know the word.
I mean, for lack of better words, just stupid. Like how like you would sacrifice your prosperity, you would sacrifice, American lives over some offensive tweets. What, like, does that make any sense whatsoever?
Hey, so why are you beating your hand with that hammer, dude? Because my dad pissed me off yesterday because he couldn't let me use the car, and this is his hammer. So you're gonna beat your own hand with a hammer? Well, yeah. What would you do?
What is it?
I don't know. Beat your own car? I don't know.
Your nose to spite your face. That's the old saying, right?
Yeah.
If y'all know who Dr. Boyce Watkins is, I love him. I listen to him. He's hilarious, but he tells a lot of truths. And I was looking at one of his videos today. He talked about the leaf and the rock. Okay, and in the black community, a lot of black people are the leaves, and what he means that you afloat to any concern that benefits you. A person who's a rock, they stand on their beliefs and their foundation and won't move behind it.
Yeah.
And they believe in it. And you have more respect with the person who's the rock than the leaf. It's like the bandwagon situation. Whoever wins the Super Bowl, that's your team. But and I tell people all the time, I'm that rock. I don't care. I'm about to use a cuss word, but Joe, I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to do better. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I've struggled there too, so I know.
I tell people, I don't care if my beliefs are my beliefs, and regardless of your emotional appeals or feels about a situation, it's not going to change the facts that dictates my beliefs. When I read all these books and I read all this literature and look at all these videos, it's hard for me to say that your emotions about a person should outweigh the facts. And I'm looking at the numbers. The numbers tell us a different story. The numbers tell prosperity. And you said, well, the hell with that prosperity. I'm just going with my feelings over here. And Dr. Boyd said, that is the craziest thing in the world. He said, a vote is a transaction. I've been saying that for the longest. You have something I want, and you got something I can give you. Give me what I want, and you get my vote. I wanted a tax cut.
Right.
Hillary wasn't offering a tax cut, but Trump was. So there go my vote. And it's you sold for money. You absolutely correct.
Right. I don't have time for facts, Marcus. I gotta be crying about my problems. So good try. Good try.
But can I say though, there's literally, and again, people don't think I'm great. There is a spirit of deception because I know people who they don't understand. They think that Biden is going to bring them prosperity. They think they've fallen for this lie. Oh, he's only going to tax people who make over $400,000 a year. That is a freaking lie. Okay. Stop. Like there's literally like people have allowed themselves to be, have a veil in front of them. They're unable to see the truth.
Yep.
And I said this before, that everything that, Joe Biden says he's going to do, that is, we can just throw that out the window, because at the end of the day, God forbid, again, if President Trump were to not win the election, Joe Biden is not going to be president, but for 100 days at best. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this whole, Joe won't do this, Joe won't do that. No, it's nothing about Joe. It would be 100% whoever is controlling Kamala. Okay, because even she is a puppet to the highest.
Yeah, she's just a puppet with that fake ass smile. And go ahead.
I just want to say one thing. When people make that argument, he's only going to tax people who make over $400,000 a year. I said, okay, how many Americans make over $400,000 a year?
Right.
Not many. So he's going to realize that tax base do not really exist. That he can really tax them to pay all of these wonderful things. So you don't think he's gonna come down and say, well, we tried 400, now we gotta go to 250. Well, we don't have to go to 250. Now we gotta go to 165. And that's the way he's gonna
do that. They can't do that.
Oh no, but guess what? They're like, everyone's like, oh, they're gonna tax like the Apples and the Amazons and the blah blah blah. Okay, you tax all these people that make all this money. Guess where those jobs are gonna go?
Yep.
They're gonna go right on across to India and to China. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yep. So again, it's going to only hurt the American people. Again, we're sacrificing prosperity. And then of course the other big issue too, the expansion of the Supreme Court, the sanctity of life. I keep hearing this term from the womb to the tomb. People use that to basically justify not voting for pro-life. And again, if you consider yourself to be a Christian, you have to be pro-life. You cannot be a Christian and be anything but pro-life. End of story. And you can't have from the womb to the tomb if you don't protect the womb first. Okay, there is.
But it rhymes, so it must be cool, is what people think.
I mean,
Seriously, it's so
there's no
stupid. But
tomb. There is no to the tomb if you don't have the womb. So
do you understand how dumb it is? And I look, we're all ragging right now, unfortunately, on our, I would say our ignorant side of the Black community, to where you can say things that rhyme, and yeah, the Negroes, they'll buy it as long as it rhymes. And it works a lot. It's like, what does that even mean? Like, I don't know, man, but the room to the tomb, like, nope, don't know. And so I want to give you an air fist for, there you go, for saying that, because that's the biggest, most important thing as far as identity. How do you identify yourself? Identify yourself as a whatever. Well, like you just said, if you are a Christian, you're supposed to say, I'm a child of God who believes that Christ saved me, blah blah blah. I'm not trying to make Christianity sound generic, but I'm just trying to get through it. And so we all know what we're talking about. That's what we're supposed. That's your highest objective. Is everything comes because you've agreed that you don't know. He does know. And so even though you don't understand what daddy's telling you, that you're going to have the faith and you're going to be obedient. And so that's your identity, because when it's time to check out, you ain't Black no more. You're not white. You're not Asian. You're gone. Your soul doesn't have some people think your soul has a color. That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard. And it's just, and so it's like, who are you as far as the ideas? And the people who, they put the veil on, because you have to put it on. It's not something that can unwillingly happen. You have to put it on yourself. They are the same ones. Biden has been 5 decades. What hasn't done anything besides bad things that once upon a time Black folks were not too crazy about, but now we'll go ahead and turn the other way. You're the same one that will get into that relationship with that abusive boyfriend or that cheating girlfriend, talking to you who are watching, and they'll cheat on you, they'll beat you, and they'll do it again. You make up, you break up, you make up, you break up, and eventually, you're like, what? He just asked to marry me. I guess I better go do it. That's the problem. And so, as opposed to the dude who's maybe not the best looking guy, but he's been taking care of you, he's been treating you good, he's been holding it down, as we like to say. But that's too good for you. And so that's going back to the human condition and whatnot. And so when it's all said and done, you are going to get what you pay for. And I'm not trying to sound like, like dramatic at all, but I mean, that's where we're at. So it's so God forbid that he doesn't get back into office. What will happen, in my estimation, is you'll have all these people, so I don't cuss, will say, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's doing that. What are you talking about? He said he was going to do that. Yeah, but I didn't think he was really saying what he was really saying. You know what I'm saying?
I'll say this right here. If it's coming out your mouth, you have to take it to some level of belief or truth. And that's one thing I always talk about my father. My father said, if he's saying it, it may be true. So don't just glare over it. And when I was telling people, one thing let me go back for a second. Voter suppression. And they always get on me and say, Trump was trying to suppress the vote and yada yada. I said, what did he do? Yeah, exactly. I said, there was no ID laws. There was nothing he done to minimize your ability to go cast your ballot. I said, the real voter suppression.
Long lines.
Long lines. I said, the real voter suppression is the media. Like, what do you mean? They give you all these pundits, all these data points, all these posters, and they say it's nowhere in the world that Trump is going to win. And it's really no reason for you to come out because, he's down by 3,700 points and there's nothing you can do. That's voter suppression. Because you're sitting there home hearing all this and you're saying, well, why should I waste my time to stand in the rain or in the cold or in the freezing weather or the hot heat of the desert to cast a ballot? I'm going to stay home because they said he's already lost. And that's real voter suppression. And when I
Can I?
try to explain, go ahead.
No. Finish. I'm sorry.
And when I try to explain that to people, it's like they hit you with a yeah, but. I said, there's no but behind this. There's no but. Then they go talk about the last thing. They talk about how the Voting Rights Act was gutted. So therefore, these southern states no longer have to go to the DOJ to get permission to change their voting laws. I said, look at it. Did they change anything other than say bring an ID? You bring an ID anyway to go vote.
You
But just
should.
yeah, you should to make it mandatory. What's wrong with that? Well, you know, black folks can't afford an ID.
That's stupid.
Dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Stupid. You need an ID to get a COVID-19 test. So
To go on the plane.
That to me, I hate when people say that. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That oh, the ID. This is not 1920. You know, I heard that. Okay, you know, back in the day, long time ago, where you know, back in the when you know, back in the South, right? A lot of people were born, you know, in the country. They were born at home, so maybe they didn't have a birth certificate, and so therefore it might have been hard. Well, guess what? This is 2020, almost 2021. Everyone has an ID, and if you don't, that's on you. That's your fault. But you need an ID to get a COVID-19 test. You need an ID to fly on a plane. You need an ID to check out a book from a library. You need an ID to vote. End of story. And no suppression. And then
go ahead.
No. I mean, the last thing I was going to say is, of course, you know, we cannot neglect, you know, COVID-19. And I termed this, I coined this term, COVID crier, because I had a troll on my social media, on my Instagram, and they love to cry about COVID. And I'm not trying to belittle the disease. I'm belittling the people who use the disease as a means to further their agenda. So these people who want to cry about COVID-19 and all the deaths and the 200,000 deaths, you know, they don't really care about the people who supposedly died from COVID-19. They're just using that number as a weapon against President Trump. And my biggest thing that I would say is that, you know, the Bible talks about in Matthew chapter 7, it says, you know, judge not, or you will be, or for the measure you judge others will be used for you. So if you want to sit there and blame President Trump for, you know, supposedly 200,000, you know, plus COVID deaths here in the United States, then God is going to blame you for the 60 million babies in America that have died from abortion since Roe v. Wade. Because
they're not really people. They're just fetuses, which actually is Latin for human baby. I mean, that doesn't matter. It's those are the same people who have been crying racism for the longest time about everything and anything. And you know, though COVID-19, for the longest time, you've had your crazy conspiracy theorists who have said, "Oh, it's all political." It's not political. It's like, yeah, it's totally political. And you say that because you've been able to look at the timing of all of this and know that it doesn't, you know, make sense. Like you see a dude wearing a left shoe on his right and a right on his left. And, you know, it's like there's too many things that are just not adding up. And on top of that, you know, it's like, well, if it's all mail-in ballots, then who's to say that you just can't have a bunch of your own mail-in? Oh, that can never happen. It's like, so we're watching the thing that, you know, so many people, I don't actually know if they actually don't believe it, or was just more so wanting him not to be there anymore. But, you know, either which way, you know, we're definitely at, you know, where we're at, and, you know, we are supposed to be examples and beacons and whatnot. But I want to follow with this. That doesn't mean putting your head down. It doesn't mean just, you know, giving up and just accepting the way things are. And I think about this: how many people, how many millions of people died for our freedom? A lot. And how many and even though that we did have slavery in our country, like so many other countries did, how many people actually paid the price to get off of that and run away to make a better life for themselves? So guess what? We are now electing as a people to be put, not just black, but everybody to be put on that plantation and to basically run ourselves into machine gun fire when so many people have died. And it's just like, for those of you who are watching and you think that we're being kind of dramatic, you don't understand how communism works, excuse me, and you clearly have not read yourself up on the policies that your girl Kamala and Joe want to bring in. So it's not us making it up. It's us just taking for what they say as what they mean to do. And so it's we still got time though. It's not over. It's not over yet. And this is I don't know. This has got to be the most pivotal, one of the most pivotal times in American history. Well, I'm not even American, right? The whole world, pretty much, right?
Well, I say this right. It's about, we can sit back and just be upset, but we have a plan of action to move forward, especially as Black conservatives.
Yeah.
I think it's our duty to go into the community and try to educate as many Black conservatives. I mean, many Black folks, not just switch them over to be conservatives, just give them the literature. I mean, one thing I have a lot of respect for is the Jehovah Witness. I really do. They will knock on your door
Yeah.
and convince you with
Yeah.
with that watchtower every Saturday morning, and they come back every Saturday morning and they keep knocking and they keep knocking. And I have a lot of respect for it because they believe in what they believe in. If we believe in what we believe in, we should talk to our brothers and sisters about being a conservative, being God fearing when it comes to how we
Which
live.
isn't being Republican, by the way, for those who are thinking it right now. That's not what he said. He said conservative, not Republican.
Because conservatives have a way of life about hard work and determination and believing that there's a higher power. I don't care who you believe. You can believe Jehovah, God, Buddha, whomever. You got to believe in a spiritual being better than you amongst yourself to say that this is the way that we're supposed to live to some degree. And also give them an understanding of how government really should run for anybody, what freedom feels like, and how we're supposed to bring freedom into our life. And when you bring freedom into your life in a way, you don't want to give it up. You when you're financially free, that's the best thing in the world. You got no debt. Nobody wants to go back into debt. Nobody wants to give up your rights to the government and say, okay, you give me socialized Medicare without me picking the plan I feel is best for me. You want to be able to walk on your land and not knowing that you got to pay all these crazy taxes that they charging you. Or you just want to be, to the most part, you want to be left alone to live a good life. And you don't have to be rich. You don't, I've seen some of the happiest poor people in my life because they understood what it is to be free. And to teach that doctrine to other Black folk instead of giving their freedoms to the government because they believe the government knows all and be all. I said, wasn't it the same government that did the Jim Crow laws? What is the same government that enslaved you? What is the same government that took your rights away and made you less than a person? What is the same government that allowed redlining to happen? I'm not trying to sit and say we didn't make it happen through those situations. We did. But you still run into the same government and not fight for less government and more freedom. I don't get it. That's just hustling backwards. I've never seen it in my life.
It's power. I mean, there's always been, and there always will be, a struggle between the man self-governing himself as opposed to man giving his power over to the government. And you look at nature. Nature's undeniable. Mm-hmm. There's no politics in nature, and you can. I tell you what you do see as far as a good model within nature that we do deal with in politics, although it's not political. It's capitalism. It's competition out there. There's no bureaucrats out there. There's no lobbying. It is survival of the fittest. And so we are different than all other animals for a lot of different reasons, but we have the power to go ahead and more or less manage and govern the world in a way to where we realize there's something bigger than just chasing your prey down and eating it. You can watch a million of these videos of, some poor deer getting hunted down or whatever. It's gory stuff. And so what makes us different is we do acknowledge it. We see it and it's like, oh, it's nature. But reason why it's kind of, gory to us is because whether we like to admit it or not, we all answer to a higher power. We might call them different names. But there's something off when you see a father lion eat his son. There's something off when you see somebody beat a dog with a pipe for no apparent reason. There's something off when you start to see these things that are really just like, what is it? And it's the thing inside of all of us that is the unescapable voice or touch of God, and everyone's got to figure that out for themselves. But our time here is very, very short, and then you have the rest of eternity. And some people say, well, you don't know that. It's like, well, you don't know that either. You don't know that either. And so you're going to take your chances on your own ignorance, as opposed to a bunch of proof and evidence that I've been giving you for instance, as far as Christ. I'm going to go with that. And, and I'll say this to people who are watching right now, because I know we're getting kind of religious for some. For those who are very skeptical on not so much churches or pastors, because those are people, but more so Christianity as far as ideology and whatnot. I'm not being a jerk, a douche or anything. I'm seriously putting it out there. Go ahead and just read through Revelation right now. It will freak you out if you're not familiar, because it describes what's going on right now. And with that being said, the silver lining for believers is we know we're at the final minute to where Christ says that he will come back. Now, what could that be, today or tomorrow? It could be, or it could be, when we're not even here, we're dead. But the season that we're in, everything has been accomplished in terms of him coming back. And so, like, not trying to convert anybody, but just check it out. And that way you might understand why your conservatives and your Christians are a little bit different in terms of what they believe and how they walk, especially in times like these. So I don't know. I definitely want to get some type of good news before we wrap it up, in that we do have a pretty good court right now. So we have enough evidence and to go ahead and present to the right judges. And so we'll see how that looks. And let me just ask you guys this, and then we'll close it up. Let's go ahead and, just as hard as it might be, let's say that we go through this process and the whole world sees, including us, that, oh my gosh, it's admitted fraud, and it's exposing how corrupt the voting system is. So many people got the idea that something was wrong these past 4 years, because mainstream media has been talking about the same guy every day for 4 years, and they were surprised. So a lot of us said, wait a minute, seems like they're more surprised than anything else. Why would they be so surprised? Because because the establishment always picks the winners, and we think we pick. But this past election, 2016, the people actually won. The people actually won, so people were empowered. So let's go ahead and say that they find out it to be corruption. It's a fraud. It's a recount. Oh my gosh, he won a landslide. Culturally speaking, what do you think will be a big shift, if any at all? I'll go with you first, Joanne. I've been talking too much.
Oh my God. Well, I am still believing for that moment to happen. I'm not giving up hope. Not giving up hope, period. And so when that moment does happen, I am going to fall to my knees and thank God. Thank you, Lord Jesus. And I definitely think that, I actually kind of think that maybe this time period that we have right now, where the left thinks that they won, will be good, because by the time the tables flip, I think that they will be so stunned And so like awestruck, I don't think they'll know what to do. Like they were already planning on rioting, right?
Yep.
Like there were like a bunch of like talks about coup attempts in Washington D.C. Like I don't know if you guys saw like the video, and they were talking about like, you know, blocking the entrances to the White House and blocking, you know, Congress people from, you know, as they come in from the airport and all this other stuff. And now they don't have the time to do that because the results have yet to be they have yet to be called, right? So I think that when the tables do finally turn, I think that the left is going to be just stunned and in total shock. That I think that a lot of the violence that we would have seen is going to, you know, it's not going to manifest because they're just going to be in utter shock and utter dismay. That's my suspicion. I could be wrong, but I do think that it's going to be so empowering for the American people, and you're going to see this explosion of American pride, because that's really what we've seen in the past 4 years. We've seen an explosion of American pride, and it is going to just explode exponentially when the president does become reelected. And we're going to have to continue to fight for freedoms. I think that as Americans, we became very complacent with our freedoms, and you know, like sheep led to the slaughter. Many people were willing to give them up. But I think that there's going to be this new sense of ownership of our freedoms and willingness to fight for them and demand them, and not so willingly give them up. So that's my take. That's my prediction.
Do you think that if and when that does happen, people go back to the same way of thinking in terms of how should I say, you know, we got lucky, or this was a miracle?
No, no one under the sun is going to like, you could call it luck, but we know it's going to be a miracle. We know it's going to be a miracle.
I got you, Marcus.
You know, I'm gonna look at this like an opportunity to grab people, like my lovely wife over here, to see that, to show the spotlight on the hypocrisy of the left. You have a lot of people who are on the razor's edge about how they're going to live their life once they turn after 30 or 40, and they see how being a conservative is not really bad, but they're afraid to move that way because their whole life has been in a liberal stance.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity to go out and reach people and bring them over. And also, I'm gonna go out and try to work with the Republican Party here in my own city to try to make them understand how to bring people over. What do we need to do to make people understand?
Right.
Because in DC right now, it is so bad when it comes to liberal ideology. They are so content with living in squalor in certain areas, and it's all right. And I think it's going to be an open experience because people are going to have to kind of have to deal with it. They see it firsthand now. They say, I've been lied to, but I need somewhere to go. I need somewhere to be. And it's up to us to say, you don't have to be a Republican, but you can be a conservative. And these are the principles of being a conservative: hard work, determination, believing in your faith. Don't rely on the government to live the best life that you can. And be your best so you can gain and take care of your family. Nobody said you can't take care of your neighborhood or your community, but understand how you need to take care of yourself before you start taking care of your neighborhood. These are some of the things that conservatives want to give you. And don't be afraid to be selfish when it comes to what you need to do in your house and what you need to ask for. And so that's what I'm gonna do. As soon as it comes down and they see all this fraud, they're not gonna believe it. They're gonna think that it was Russia again, or it was the Ukraine or China. But once they come to terms that they cannot deny that the left actually put the fix in, then they need somewhere to go. And we need to be there with open arms to say, we got you.
That's a good point, man. And you know, if and when, you know, he pulls out of this and whatnot, the question you have to ask next is, what's the next big conspiracy? What's not conspiracy? What's the next big fraud they're going to pull, right? And so I'm going to go out of the box and say they will They've tried everything else. The one thing that they haven't tried is a alien invasion. And so I'm telling you, an alien invasion, I honestly think, I mean, that's kind of a last resort. But you've got to have another, you got to have fear somewhere. So people don't believe in, unless they do a real pandemic, which that's possible. But an alien invasion, that's what else would be able to lock the whole world down?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The technology that they have, there's this little program called Blue Light. It's a real thing. So it's on the agenda. It's cooking. We just have to get through this. But overall, I definitely see a major cultural shift, and it's like one of the greatest movies you've ever seen. When you've got the one, I guess, Rocky character against 50 bad guys, and he comes out. And so the only way that you get out of this, figuratively speaking, Rocky, isn't because you're so tough or because your hair is so nice or you're so strong. It's because the writer wrote it that way. And that's giving, respect to the big guy upstairs. So if it's written in there, we shall see. And there'll be no credit more for anyone to take than just giving praise. And so with that being said, I want to thank you guys for making time. And a lot of you guys don't know this, but as pretty as Joey is, she feels like crap right now. She's fighting a migraine, so she toughed it out. So we appreciate it. And we will see you guys, God willing, next week. And until then, God bless, be cool. See you when I see you.
Good job, guys.
Nice.